I was fine before I got here, and now suddenly I'm starting to feel a little bit emotional. I'm just really hoping that this goes like smooth and copacetic today. What's up, tribe, and welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me again. If you are new here, my name is Mariah and I am currently on a journey to conceive baby number 2. I actually realized that I just jumped on here and started talking versus actually doing any type of introduction, so that is what this is right now, and we're gonna go ahead and roll into all of the updates that I have for you guys and all the deets on how I'm doing and what's next and all of that jazz. So here we go. So I am back and we are days later at this point. I went and got my blood work done the other day, and that came back within, I think it was back by the end of the day, if not the very next day. So my blood work when I went to the ER was at a 27.2. Then it went down to a 5. So it's definitely like confirmed at this point. We are no longer in the threatened miscarriage stage, even though I felt like I was never really in that stage by the time I got to the hospital. There's no way that they had me basically at, I think, 5 weeks and maybe a couple of days, but there's no way that at 5 weeks my HCG would have been measuring that low. And I think even if I ovulated a little bit later, it still would have been higher than that. I don't think I really have ever gotten one that low when I was not in the midst of a miscarriage. So I mean, it pretty much, like, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. But now I'm on my way to basically meet up with a more local OB. You guys know I've been seen at Walter Reed in the past. I don't know why. I thought this time that I could just kind of like ease into things and maybe like keep them as like a backup option, and now this is making me very much reevaluate that. Even at the ER, they were like, can you get an appointment back there at Walter Reed, because I don't know if the OB at Penn is going to be able to see you. So I was just like, okay, you guys are already trying to, like, I felt as though like when I was in there, like, you're already trying to push me back in that direction, even though it's, you know, I think 2 to 3 hours worth of a drive. I think now from here it's about a little over 2.5 hours. But instead of, I don't know, kind of being more insistent that I get an appointment more locally, they were pretty much like, go back to your previous doctor. Even when I called over the phone, they were like, who was your previous doctor? Go back to them. So I don't know how today's gonna go, to be honest with you. Like, I feel already like you kind of like don't even want to touch my chart is what I feel like at this point. And I'll see how it goes today when I meet this OB. But I'm just preparing myself because I feel like there's always some nonsense, and there's always like the, oh, huh, really? So they did this. So out of all of this, you still don't know why. There's always that conversation there, and it's just like, bruh. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. This week has definitely been a little bit of a rough week, more so from a physical standpoint than a mental standpoint. I feel like by now I have a pretty good handle on how to handle this mentally speaking, and of course the emotional piece of it kind of fluctuates, but sad to say, I'm a veteran at this, so it's kind of like I know what to expect mentally. But then when the physical stuff hits, like when the pain hits, when the having to expel tissue hits, when all of the visuals of the things that are coming out of your body hit, that's when it gets like a little bit like, here we freaking go again. It's like mentally, I already know, here we go again. But physically seeing it and feeling it, I feel like is a lot harder for me than mentally compartmentalizing it, if that makes sense. I feel like no matter how many times you go through it and how used to it you are, it is a difficult thing to go through still. It's just the way you handle it changes and shifts from time to time. And I feel like we all do this with different things, but I feel like when you experience recurrent miscarriage, I feel like only people who really experience it can fully understand. I know people who understand miscarriage or have experienced miscarriage understand as well. And also, I think people who go through infertility and all those treatments understand as well. But there's just like a shift in energy and how you handle it and how you deal with it. Right now, I am okay. I'm feeling a little bit of, maybe, I won't say anxiety, but a little bit of uncertainty of how this is all going to pan out and go down. But I'm just trying to stay in a good frame of mind and hopeful for the best. I finally think that I have stopped bleeding. Right now I'm in that brown type of phase, so I'm not fully done, but I'm not expelling anything anymore. I had probably quite a few days of continuously just expelling tissue, but it was nothing like as extreme. Today is really about establishing this new relationship with a new provider, as well as establishing what the options are going to be with this provider, how they are going to be able to or not be able to make medication available for me. So I'm just trying to like mentally prepare, and I probably will write some things down before I go in, but I need to know what they're going to be able to do, because what I can't do is go through this vicious cycle of the trial and error with them and have to fight once again for medications, be it progesterone, be it Clomid, whatever it comes down to. I do not want to have to battle a care team. Like I've been through that already. I don't want to do it again. So I'm going in with an open and hopeful mind today. But if this doesn't look like it's actually going to work out here, I don't know that I want to waste my time, efforts, and energy. I do think it's important to have an established relationship here for emergent reasons, obviously, but I do not think it's going to be worth the stress involved, because doctors can be very set in their ways. Practices can be very set in their protocols and the way they go about things, and they do not. No matter even if a patient shows success with a certain route, if that route deviates from their standard protocol and practice, a lot of them do not want to make any exceptions whatsoever. Their default is pretty much to refer you out, and at that point it's like I might as well just try to go back through Walter Reed, which I'm also going to call today once I'm done my appointment and see if that's even going to be an option. So right now I'm in pretty much a very just uncertain phase of how any of this is really gonna go. I don't know if the new OB is going to be willing to do the things that Walter Reed did. I don't know if Walter Reed is going to be willing to take me back as a patient. Not even take me back, because I'm still technically speaking an existent patient, but I don't even know how all that's gonna go. So yeah, when I figure all of this out, I'll let you guys know, but I'm gonna go ahead and get going so that I am not late for this appointment, and I'll update you guys when I get out. So guys, I'm here at the doctor's office. I got a couple of minutes before I run in. I'm just really hoping that this goes like smooth and copacetic today. I was fine before I got here, and now suddenly I'm starting to feel a little bit emotional, and I don't know if the hospital is just starting to become a new trigger for me. I don't know if that's like necessarily what it is, because like I said, I felt fine until I got here, and until it's basically like 3 minutes till the time for me to go in. So I don't know, that this is like a new feeling. I don't even know how to describe it. I honestly feel like the hospital is going to be like a new triggering thing for me, like whenever I come for anything related to GYN or OB, like, and I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to have that association, but it's been more negative things at the hospital than necessarily positive. It's been a mixture, but I feel like the negative at the hospital went on for longer than the positive did. So I don't know if that's just the way my brain and my emotions are associating with it, but I am just trying to stay in a calm frame of mind and not get wrapped up in the ideology of what may come out of this before I actually go in and just experience what may come out of it. I'm also feeling like I'm feeling a little stupid to some extent too, like a little stupid for even getting my hopes up, number one, because I said to myself, like, I don't want to get my hopes up because this can quickly change. So like I kind of feel a little bit dumb for expecting the outcome to be differently. Like in my mind I was like, this may work, this may not. Be very guarded with your emotions and with your feelings, but maybe it'll work. And now I feel like so stupid for even feeling that way, to be completely honest. I feel like I didn't want to go into the process for baby number 2 feeling like I was just bursting in guns blazing, like with between like the protocol and trying to go back the Clomate route immediately. Like I wanted to just try to do things as simply as possible, and to some extent with not requiring the extra, so to speak. And I feel dumb for even thinking that that was like maybe a possibility, even though we still don't know if that's a possibility or not. I just feel stupid overall. I know like I'm scoffing at myself right now, but yeah, I feel a little bit dumb, and I know I shouldn't. I know for a fact that I should not feel this way. Like I psychologically and intellectually know that, for one, this is not my fault. This is just what my body's doing. And for 2, even doing things differently, it's not a guarantee that the outcome would have changed. I don't know. I'm in a weird spot right now. And all of this didn't necessarily come up until I was like right here in this parking space. So I'm gonna go in because I don't want to be late, and I will update you guys once I get out. So I just got out of there and I'm done. It's like 2 hours later, and I feel like I don't even know how to describe it. I took steps forward, and I also feel like then we took steps backward. My OB, I think that me and her can have a good relationship and work together, but getting over to the MFM side is where things are gonna wind up getting complicated. So the OB, basically, her and I talked about what I did last time and how things are going now, and she basically said, well, why don't you go back to doing what you did last time? Like, I don't think it's even necessary. And I told her I felt stupid for even thinking it would be any different, but she's like, don't feel stupid. Like, there was a good chance and possibility that things would have went perfectly fine. She's like, you just never know though. So she's like, at this point, what we're gonna do is get all of your medical records, which I need to now collect like a freaking scavenger hunt, meaning all my genetic testing, and request all of that, and then see if it's even going to come back within a certain time, because my OB was like, you could literally just gather everything you have access to, like download it all, put it in a zip file, and upload it into your chart, and that way I can see everything. And she was also like, let me go ahead and refer you to the MFM clinic, because I think that you should be doing what you did last time, but I know you don't have the insurance coverage to go to REI here at Penn, because I don't. They won't cover it. They only cover medications up to a certain amount, and even that, the language is very specific as it surrounds the diagnosis of infertility, and some things are covered and some things aren't. So she basically was like, listen, I am more than willing to go ahead and prescribe you with the progesterone. I'm more than willing to go ahead and prescribe you with Clomate. When it came down to the trigger shot, she's like, that is the only thing that I have somewhat uncertainty of, and would have to basically go back and ask like an MFM or a fertility specialist on. She's like, but I don't have any problem with basically prescribing. Sorry, I thought I saw a bug. She's like, I don't have a problem with prescribing the other two, but she's like, this has to be taking, you know, an emotional toll on you, and I don't want you to go through anything that you don't have to go through. So she's more so seeming like she's on board for trying things the same way Walter Reed did, with the hesitation of not knowing much about the gonadotropin trigger and how she needs to code that and everything like that. So where we're at this point seems to be like she is willing to do it, but also hesitant to do it. And then she also wants me to see and consult with MFM, and when I get to the MFM counter, they're like, why are you here? When's your due date? And I'm explaining to them the whole situation all over again, and they're like, well, they're not going to want to see you for like 3 to 4 months. And I'm like, why not? That's not making a whole lot of sense to me. She's like, yeah, they don't see you until they're like 3 or 4 months long. And I had to like literally put on the stern voice, which I try to be very patient with people, because they do have specific training and protocols that they are very accustomed to. However, when you have a very specific and a very different situation, for those of us who have to struggle with recurrent miscarriage, we are like 1% of the population. So it's kind of like, it's not surprising that you haven't necessarily encountered a situation like mine when you're working at the front desk and scheduling appointments, you know, once people are showing and once they're, you know, 3 and 4 months along. It's pretty doggone normal. However, I feel like you have to be receptive to hearing when the situation presents itself that is very different than what you are accustomed to dealing with. And we'll just leave it at that, because the exchange was not nasty. It wasn't disrespectful. I think there was some frustration on both sides a little bit, and more so due to a lack of understanding. And me being the effective communicator that I am, sat there and broke everything down bit by bit, probably more than she wanted me to give her, or more information than she actually wanted me to divulge. But at that point, I'm feeling like, let me just tell you everything so you can stop having this almost slight argumentative tone with me about why I am giving you a consultation slip that was put through by the OP that I just seen. At that point, I feel like, go talk to the OB. She already put the consultation in. I didn't even ask her to put the consultation in. She was like, I want you to go see him. Here is the paperwork. Here is the consultation. And here it is now. I'm at the front desk trying to schedule that. And I feel like you're sitting here going back and forth with me. And for what at that point? Like, why are you going back and forth with me when you can walk down the hall and talk to the doctor? She's still there. Like, go communicate if that's the case. If there's something that you're literally not understanding, go get clarity from the source, which is ultimately not me. I am the patient. I shouldn't have to sit here and break down my whole history to you just to get an appointment. And this is what I meant earlier when I said I do not want to have to jump through hoops, and I don't want to have to fight and battle for what I know is possible, but with people who are just not accustomed to doing things differently, so they just fight it at any chance that they get. I won't say fight it. They are resistant to change. That's how I'm going to put it. They are just very, very resistant to change. And as a patient, I don't appreciate it, because it's not me just randomly walking in off the street saying, hey, can I get an MFM consult? It's literally me handing you paperwork from a provider that works in your office. What more do you need at that point? And stuff like that is the type of stuff that frustrates me. I feel like increases almost like a little bit of stress and anxiety, because it's like, oh my gosh, dealing with you, am I going to be able to get what I need here? Like, because only one person seems to be on board. And my OB's staff was also on point too. Like, her staff, her scheduler, her nurse, everyone I dealt with on her side, completely on point. On the MFM side, the person that actually finally got me to a place of getting a phone call with the nurse for the MFM, he was great. He had a great attitude. To be honest with you, he just felt really bad because he was trying to be sensitive to the situation, but also get information or clarity on information, which I can appreciate. Me and him had a very decent conversation, because it's like, look, dude, I know that this is a sensitive topic. I know that you don't want to ask certain questions. I know that for you, not just for me as a patient, but for you, it's very uncomfortable because you don't want to do anything to set the patient off. I get it. I understand. I know you have a hectic day. Like, when I tell y'all I have so much grace for people and I'm so freaking understanding when it comes to things, like, I give grace to the oomph degree. My whole thing is just don't have this little attitude with me. And he did. His counterpart did. I feel like she was just being too resistant and insensitive, but he didn't have that at all. So he was completely fine, but even he seemed pretty hesitant about what was going to come out of this conversation with the nurse whenever she calls me, and he couldn't even give me a timeline as to when she was going to call me. So there's just so much lingering and looming things that I feel like are up in the air, and there's no, once again, I'm left with undefined answers as to what the next steps are really going to look like. So at this point, the clinic in Walter Reed is already closed. So I am going to just compile every bit of information that I have from my genetic testing. She is going to, looking at my paperwork here, she's going to do, I think, another hemoglobin for me to check my like A1C and everything like that. I went ahead and got a pap smear today and a pelvic exam because I wanted to get those out of the way. Then also I am getting another test for my vitamin D. I asked her to do that just because I do seem to struggle with keeping my vitamin D up to par, and it hasn't been retested in a long time. So I asked her to go ahead and retest that. Yeah, that's what it is. I have to get my medical records to them. I have to see where my genetic testing records are. I know I have a copy post move. I have a copy somewhere. I believe it's in our old filing cabinet, but now I need to go home and basically dig all that out. And then my OB told me that I could basically go in my chart, my military chart, and just download everything and then upload it into their system on the app. The MFM, I think, wants the hard copies of everything like faxed over. So we're just going to see how all of this kind of plays out at this point. In the meantime, though, I am going to call Walter Reed come Monday, because I am a more so have a plan type of person, not a wait and wing it and see type of person typically. Like, I do that with some things, but I'm a person that does better when people seem a little bit more confident about, like, we'll take care of this and give you a plan, versus when there's two different clinics kind of battling it out with each other. Like, it's like a battle of wills. One is willing to do pretty much like whatever, and that's unusual for an OB. I feel like a lot of OBs, you could get it 50-50. A lot of OBs don't want to touch any fertility medication whatsoever, and then some of them who, you know, had experience in the fertility realm, they're like, sure, why not? And she was one of the ones that's like, sure, why not? If that's worked for you in the past, why not? So yeah, that's where I'm at. I know it's a lot of information and kind of all over the place, but I just wanted to get on here and update you guys before I actually head home. I just need to process this, like, as I'm going home, because I feel like I'm still going to have to be on two different tracks. I'm going to have to be on exploring my options with Walter Reed track, and I'm going to have to be on exploring my options with Penn track, because if the nurse calls the next week and she's like, well, yeah, we still want you to wait that 3 to 4 months before we even remotely see you, I might have to just change what I'm doing. I might have to just get a new or different game planned. And that's the thing, every doctor is also very different about what they recommend post miscarriage. Some doctors recommend for you to wait the 3 months, while other ones say pretty much like, as long as you get one solid cycle, like wait one cycle and then continue on. Waiting the one cycle also helps for dating processes, just so that they can have more accurate dates and timelines as to when you conceived and everything. So I don't know at this point. I feel like what I'm going to wind up doing is making sure they get all these documents, talking to Walter Reed, and then kind of going from there. So for right now, we are, I think, in a little bit of limbo at the moment. And that's all I really have to add for right now. So, but yeah, I'm going to pretty much end this video right here, just because I don't know when I'm going to get a call back, and I don't like videos to be like too extensively long. When I have some information, I will definitely update you guys and let you know when that is. But for right now, that's what I got. A mess is what I got. A swamp of uncertainty. So we will see how this goes. Cause like I said, I really don't want to do the battle of wills. I mean, I've been with them in the past. I went to see them as a kid. They've handled some of my medical care as an adult, but I don't know on the fertility spectrum if I want to do this battle with them. I just don't know, because I'm literally feeling right now like it's going to be a battle of me versus them, versus us battling this issue. And that's something that I really always need the care teams to understand, that I need team players. I need to be on a team with someone and working with someone who, in fact, is a team player. I can't work with people who like to bulldoze, and I can't work with people who basically think there is one way to do something every single time, because that can't be farther from the truth, especially when it comes to fertility. There are so many ways to get creative and different paths and different avenues for helping people successfully achieve healthy pregnancies and live births. So yeah, I'm a person that believes in having some sort of flexibility, I guess is what you can say. Some willingness to be flexible, to do some things that may be less conventional or not the standard, and a little bit more patient-centric and specific and custom to what the patient needs. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll update you when I have some more info. Bye.